Hi, I'm Rob, and in this Gems of War video, I'm going to show you a couple of teams you can use for this upcoming Guild Wars. Now, I did do this slightly ahead of the game, but I've always had an idea of what kind of team I'd use for this, because we are restricted to Suncrest, which means we must use Suncrest teams and indeed a Suncrest weapon. But let's take a look at first the importance of the medals for Guild Wars, because it is absolutely vital. Now, a lot of people do tend to go like 3 times nicer regardless to boost up the power of their team, but you must choose your medals based on the opponent. For example, if the restriction means you can't get an easy cleanse in your team, or you can't cleanse your whole team easily, like you're not allowed to use Wand of Stars, or the troops just aren't there, which give an easy cleanse, then you must go 3 times medals of Orpheus. Each medal gives you a 10% chance to cleanse each troop when its turn begins, so really vital against Elementalist class to choose Orpheus if you don't have a cleanse in your team. But we will have for this one, so we don't have to think about that. But I'm going to choose a medal of Anu for this one, and the reason is I haven't got a particularly fast start on this team ordinarily. One of the troops will have a decent mana start, 75% mana start, but the rest are going to start with nothing. So that 20% mana start is actually really important, and going first or casting first in Guild Wars can often make or break or decide who wins the game. You've seen them battles where the enemy starts going straight away and they just beat the crap out of you and it's all over before you started, and quite often you can do the same to them. So one medal of Anu for that 20% mana start, especially on troops that use a lot of mana, is certainly worth the trade-off for that one extra bit of power you get from an extra medal of Nisha. Right, I'll cough up in a minute. Right, so let's take a look at the team, and then I'll show it in action. So this is the No-mythic team I'm going to show you first, and then we'll show a couple of mythic alternatives as well as some other troops to consider. For this, why is that written in green? It should be written in yellow. It's Suncrest. It fits with the vibe. Anyway, here we have Harpy Mage. We have the Golden Talon. If you don't have that, there is another explodey summoning weapon from Suncrest you can use instead. Queen Xochi and High Priestess Chazka. Now, all these troops are great in their own way. High Priestess Chazka, fantastic troop for this kind of event, because not only does she conjure a Lightstorm when her turn begins, not at the start of battle, when her turn begins. So as long as she's alive, you'll get a Lightstorm every single round, which is really cool. All allies gain 2 random skill points is kind of not that great, but it's that Lightstorm which is so good. But what is the best thing about her is that last part of her spell. Bless all yellow allies. In an all yellow team, this is like a super cleanse. You get cleansed and you're made impervious to all status effects. Get to cast this first against an Elementalist team and they don't do nothing to you. You're impervious. It's like, you know, Elementalist, yeah, do one. Out the window. If they did get to cast first and she's still alive, because it's part of her spell, then you will get to cast it and then you can cleanse all your allies. So this is where you get the cleanse from in this team with this restriction, High Priestess Chazka. So you're up against Elementalist. She's kind of vital to have in your team to make sure you benefit from that bless all yellow allies. But she also does damage to all boosted by yellow gems, which is helped by the fact she conjures a Lightstorm when her turn begins, because that is yellow. Next up we have Queen Xochi, which tries to put people off by wearing literally nothing up top apart from a few feathers to cover her dignity, and if that wasn't a distraction enough, she explodes gems if there's a storm. And there will be a storm, because remember, we're doing a light storm when my turn begins with High Priestess Chazka, so that is really cool. So damage to all again with a storm, explode gems, which can help charge her up, and do it all again. And we get a summon chance as well. A 35% chance to summon a Harpy Mage when matching 4 or more gems, as well as reduce damage from spells by 25%. Makes her really cool. So damage dealing there with bone benefits as well. And they said benefits then. What's a benefit? So the weapon, Golden Talon, explodes magic +1 yellow gems, grants a random status effect to all Strix allies, then summons a Strix troop. So nice weapon. Explodey, summony weapon, mana gen, status effects, summon, nice upgrades, create a Lightstorm, deal 5 damage to the last enemy, really good if you need to remove a barrier or something like that. Cleanse itself as well, very handy indeed, do like it a lot. So Harpy Mage up top, starts battles with 75% mana. Conjures a Dark Storm, which is good for Queen Xochi. And choose an ally and explode magic +1 gems of one of their mana colours. Now when you cast this, you don't cast it on just anybody. You know, I've seen people play this game on videos and just cast it anywhere, but you pay attention to the board. Everyone uses yellow, but in this team, this one uses red, this one uses blue, this one uses brown, this one uses a purple, and you've got no control over which colour Harpy Mage is going to explode. So say for example there's a bunch of yellow on the screen but only 2 red. You don't cast it on Harpy Mage. If it chooses to explode red, you're going to hardly get any mana from that. Take a look around. If there's the same amount of yellow there but there's blue everywhere as well, this is by far a better cast because you're going to explode either the yellow or the blue, and if it chooses to choose the blue then you're going to get a load of mana from that. Do you see what I mean? And the advantage of this class as well is, you'll notice I'm not in Stormcaller class for this. I get a 50% start on my hero. I get reduction of 50% from skull damage if it gets to that point. Can have Serendipity, give a random ally a random status effect. I can have Anti-Magic Sphere, reduce damage from skulls by 20%. Can have Tactician. Can have Rock Solid. We're collecting brown, remember, and we get a Dust Storm. Every brown we get a barrier. Tree of Knowledge. Gain enchantment matching green, which we can, that can happen just kind of automatically as well, even if we don't collect it ourselves on purpose. And Fortitude, so really cool. The banner for this, don't know if I showed it, +2 yellow, +1 red, -1 green. So let's dive into a battle then. Let's go wherever needed, wherever's nearest. Right, let's take it out there, see what we can do, and I'll show the mythic alternative as well after this. We'll do a couple of battles like this. I'll show you a mythic team. So the cool thing about this is we get that light storm and yellow gems fall more than other colours. See, that was a cool thing about that Tree of Knowledge. Don't use green, but we had a 4-match green, so we're now enchanted on the hero. Really cool. Some people may have thought, why did I pick that? That is why. Even though I don't use green, I get to benefit from all the colours, one way or the other. This is like a kind of one of the sort of secret tips, if you know what I mean, about the excuse me, the game, like how to benefit from all colours even though we don't use them colours. And when you don't use green, Tree of Knowledge is one of the ways. But anyway, let's look at our Harpy Mage and that situation I was talking about earlier. Uses red and yellow. Red are splattered around a lot, blue are splattered around a lot as well, brown not so good, purple okay. So anybody on this is okay, but we want to get the hero up as well, benefit from those status effects. So let's cast it on the hero. If it chooses to explode blue, we're going to benefit from that. We're enchanted, so we're ready next round. Let's grab some of that. We get a rock solid barrier and charge Xochi at the same time. There is a storm. There will be a storm because of Priestess Chazka there. Conjuring a light storm and her turn begins. So we'll explode gems at the same time as doing all that damage. And quite often, they'll just charge up the team again, like it has done there. So damage fall again, that explosion. Now she's ready, we can get the Bless. We're now impervious. Can now cast this, or the weapon. The weapon, is there a lot of yellow everywhere? This whole area is kind of devoid of yellow. So we're not going to get too much mana from this. But if I cast this, and it chooses red, they're splattered around quite a lot. If it chooses yellow, obviously we're into this bad area again, so I may as well wing it. Go with this, get the status effect at the same time. It's not going to make a huge amount of difference. Just trying to point out how important it is to pay attention to, keep a lookout for all details, so to speak, when it comes to Guild Wars, because just one mistake can cost you a match. I do like to cast the weapon when I can, because those status effects are just brilliant. So handy to have those status effects. And High Priestess Chazka is going to steal the glory. See you later, matey boy at the bottom. So quite often Guild Wars teams aren't mega super duper Carlos Speedy Gonzalez hyper fantango fast, but you got to do what you got to do to win. And in this team we've got damage to all ×2, we've got a Bless, we've got a Light Storm, we got a extra chance of a summon. We got a status effect. We got another guaranteed summon. Got a mana generator and another mana generator up top with a really fast start. So overall, a pretty strong team with no mythic. Do like to cast that weapon when I can though. Those status effects cannot be underestimated. But let's cast this then. So let's grab that first. do get those 4 matches. So what we've got? We've got purple everywhere at the moment, so that's pretty good. But it's not worth casting this on High Priestess Chazka in this instance, because whatever we explode, we're going to take out some purple anyway, probably. So she's going to get charged up next round anyway. It's kind of like advanced tactics, if you like. But we'll cast this. There's a good smattering of yellow everywhere. And there you go. Chazka is ready to rock and roll. You can get brown if you want to make sure you get a barrier every time. You can take a skull back if you don't want to take one back. Let's cast that. Make sure we get that bless going. Yellow all over the place. These are going to charge up our troops nice and fast. There we go. Got that storm going. Damage to all. Explosion. Xochi's ready. Have a little gander around for 4 matches. Not going to kill him just yet. I mean, you can keep this in the bag if you want to use it later on. Like if you cast this now, there's a decent chance of getting the weapon charged up. This is the one to cast though if you can, because the explosion of gems means she can self-charge and do it again. Oh, look at that, this evolved on 1. How annoying. But I do love that storm, that yellow storm every single round. And it's very straightforward. And with that bless from this, it's really good against Elementalist class as well. So certainly a team to bear in mind. So let's now take a look at an alternative. Did I think I did cast the wrong weapon then? I meant to cast Xochi. I think I did cast the wrong weapon. I meant to do that. There we go. Right. Good. Right, so now let's take a look at the Mythic alternative to this team variant. Still using Harpy Mage, still using the same weapon, but I have changed the class to Sunspear, so we get a Firestorm at the start of every turn. This is really, really important for Phoenicia. We also can have Snap Freeze, we can freeze an enemy at the start, we can have stuff like Root Trap, we can have Watery Binding, Deluge, really important for this. Submerge a random ally on 4 or 5 gem matches, that is so good against those damage to all teams. Those teams with a really damaging Chrysanthrax or something like that. Does huge damage. Not when you submerge, they don't do anything. They literally kick air. So Deluge, really powerful against those damage to all teams. Firebringer, gain bonus red from red gem matches. And Fireblade, if you find a way to set fire to the enemy, then we can do triple skull damage as well. And the weapon explodes magic +1 yellow gems, as we know. Gives a random status effect to all Strix and summons a Strix troops. But we've gone over them already, so no need to say that. But Phoenicia, damage to all enemies, boosted by red gems and burning enemies. If there's a firestorm, deal double damage. There will be a firestorm because our class ensures it. Create a firestorm at the start of every turn. And 50% chance to burn a random enemy at the start of her turn. Means we can also benefit from that triple skull damage if it comes along, which is really cool. But that only applies if you have the weapon up top, so something else to consider there. But Ruby Wrath actually goes really well with Phoenicia, because Phoenicia's main colour is red. She does damage boosted by red. She uses red, and Ruby Wrath gives 2 magic to all red allies when matching red gems. So we match red gems to charge up Ruby Wrath, Phoenicia, and Harpy Mage, and that gives Phoenicia and Ruby Wrath extra damage, which is cool. And then does a huge amount of damage to all enemies, converts 5 red gems to red giant gems, with a 10% chance for an extra turn boosted by red gems. And we can use our exploded troops here to take out those red gems and get a huge amount of mana for the team. Change the banner for this one. Worm banner is good for this. +2 red, +1 yellow, +1 red, -1 purple. So there's no cleanse in this team, no natural cleanse anyway. So you do have to watch out for that. You do get one as part of the weapon, I think it is. I think this is the one that had the, curing. So you do get the cleanse from that, but not to the whole team. Not like with the one with High Priestess Chazka in it. And there are a couple of kind of traps to this team itself we have to watch out for as well. I'll explain these when we come across them. So obviously take these 4 matches when they're there. We've got our top troop up already, but we could, well, we'll take that actually. That's good for our dragon friend. But what I was going to say you got to watch out for on this team, and it's a built-in trap to itself in a way, and it's only real negative for me, is the fact that we obviously get that double damage when there's a firestorm from this. But when we cast this, it creates a dust storm. Now, it will only be for 1 turn, because remember, the weapon creates a firestorm at the start of every turn. So it will only last for one turn, but sometimes you've got to wait an extra round before you can actually cast Phoenicia to make sure you get that double damage. So do bear that in mind. And the same happens when you cast a weapon. That starts a light storm. So you may have to wait an extra round again when you do that. Or you can pick a different weapon. I didn't actually look at the alternative for this, but let's cast that on. There's lots of red everywhere. Not so much yellow. Not so much blue. It did choose yellow, but there you go. That's what happens when you want the opposite thing. Right, but get brown for our Ruby Wrath. Let's get the weapon charged up if we can. Obviously I'm playing this at a fair degree of speed, but don't rush when you're playing Guild Wars. Take your time. One of the biggest killers at Guild Wars sometimes is not the enemy team or the enemy... the enemy team sometimes. It's just the fact you rushed your moves, didn't think about the opponent well enough. There's virtually a counter to pretty much everything in the game. You plan your team enough, counter the opponent. It's not all about just your attack team. Like, this is not the sort of team I would pick for a lot of battles. A lot of battles. I'm just showing it as a alternative. I actually prefer the first team with High Priestess Jaska and Queen Xochi to this one for so many different reasons. But this is a option here, and I'm just showing this as well just for the couple of things to watch out for. Like, Phoenicia is ready to cast, so is Ruby Wrath. But because I cast a weapon, we started a light storm. So you do not cast this right now because the double damage only comes into effect during a firestorm. So we can cast Ruby Wrath now, do that large amount of damage, and we can then make a normal match of, say, this red here, make use of this giant gem. Let's switch our turn back now to a firestorm. So now we can cast this. Let's cast that, get that double damage. Huge amount of damage. We can now explode the board, hopefully take out the red. If we cast this, we're going to explode yellow. Is yellow next to this giant gem? Is it yellow next to this giant gem? Yellow next to this giant gem? Those giant gems will get taken out. This can give us tons of red, tons of yellow, and we've got our Mega Dragon and Phoenicia charged, and that is the end of them. In fact, I'll end their misery with a little skull bash. But you do have to be wary of this because there's no, obviously, super cleanse in this team. There's just a cleanse for the hero weapon. And there's just two choices of teams here. There are lots of different ways to go about this, but really, really important to pay attention to your opponent in Guild Wars. Can't say it enough. Countering the enemy is one of the main things in Guild Wars. This is not obviously a Guild Wars team I'm fighting now. It's a generic explore team, but the point is to pay attention to stuff. Like now, we're not going to cast Phoenicia, we're going to cast Ruby Wrath because we haven't got the Firestorm. We now switch back to the Firestorm. It's now safe to cast this. Double damage. We can now explode those red gems because there's yellow gems all around them. So we're going to guarantee stacks of mana. But unlucky not to pick up a 4-match there, but hey ho, that's the way it goes. Let's cast a weapon again. I do like to cast a weapon because it's just so good for those status effects as well. And I'm not even gonna look. We've got everybody charged. I'm not even gonna do it. I'm gonna let him burn to death on his last. There you go. That's what I think of you, Dust Devil. You can burn, mate. But anyway, there's a couple of teams there to consider during Guild Wars. If you've got any other good alternatives or good ideas in general for this kind of restriction, then chuck them into the comments below, and I'll wish you good luck in Guild Wars, unless it's against North Star, in which case I wish you not so much good luck. But that's the way it goes. But thanks for watching, and bye for now.